Hey guys, so I had orientation today for our middle one going to high school next year. It was the high school orientation, went in and had a little spiel about everything. Our eldest one already goes there, so we knew all the stuff that was going on. But I've never, I've never been one to really like school. I grew up hating school. Primary school was okay. High school, I just hated the whole time. I never knew why, but I just did not like it. Just didn't agree with me. I was one of those people that wasn't the fact that I hate learning. I love learning and I love pushing my mind. I love pushing my body to learn new stuff and to be able to develop new skills and techniques. Love doing that. It's one of the best things in the world. I love sitting down with a good book and learning something new or listening to a podcast, or I love pushing and developing myself. I believe everyone should be doing it at least an hour a day, at least a few times a week. The problem with school is though, I could never figure out why I didn't like being there. I couldn't figure out why I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that was going on. It wasn't until I was older and I learned a lot more about life and a lot more about myself that I realized where the problem was. And there's the old Einstein, I think it was Einstein, that has the saying of if you judge everyone the same, and it's something along the lines about judging everyone the same. If you mark a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it's going to spend its life thinking it's dumb. Everyone has their own talents, everyone has their own creativity, and everyone has their own outlets. The problem with a lot of school systems, and I know there is a new school opening up within Sydney, I think next year they're starting to take an intake of kids, that focuses more on the abilities of the kids rather than making them fit to a particular curriculum or particular set of guidelines. The problem with the education system, I don't know what it's like overseas, I'm assuming it's going to be fairly similar for a lot of countries, is they have an age-old curriculum that they stick to that's evolved a little bit over the years, but it really hasn't evolved with the times, and it really hasn't evolved to reflect what people do these days when they leave school. The principal herself even got up and made some comment in her, felt like 4 hour speech about, if you stick to our 5 Ps and you live by them where you're at school and you live by them outside of school, even you can get a 9 to 5 job, but even before you leave school. I just thought to myself, but how many people actually want or go into a 9 to 5 job these days? Even the big corporate marketplaces and the big corporate companies are looking at flexible working hours and telecommuting, and there's all the online businesses and remote working, and like 9 to 5 job is just, it's ancient these days. Like no one does 9 to 5 jobs. No one wants a 9 to 5 job. What about all the entrepreneurs out there that are going to be working 70, 80 hour weeks because they're working their own business and they're building their own startup? What about the tech companies that are working insane hours and working with, groups of people all across the world on different time zones? What about the creatives that all they want to do is go and create art and create things that express themselves, and that's how they're going to make their living? What about the musicians? What about, there's all these people and all these avenues that it still to this day gets ignored in our education system. I know our eldest had, great example, our eldest had food tech last year in year 8. The extent of their food tech, so when I went to school, food tech was you made it, you cooked it, you prepped it, you did everything. The extent of their food tech was the teacher had everything measured out in bowls. They weren't allowed to measure anything. They weren't allowed to turn the oven on. They weren't allowed to put things in the oven. They literally put the ingredients in a bowl, mixed it, put it in a tray, and that was it. How is that teaching them anything? Someone that wants to go and become a chef, how is that teaching them shit? Like, this is 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. They're not even allowed to turn the damn oven on. Like, the side of creativity at school and the side of creativity in our education system is just gone. Like, it's ridiculous. And that's, as I grew older and learnt more about life and learnt more about myself, that's what I found was missing at school. I didn't fit with the normal peg. I felt like a round peg trying to ram into a square hole at school. It didn't work. It didn't fit. Yet the stuff that I've learned outside of school, if I'd learned even a fraction of that when I was at school, I would have paid so much more attention. I would have enjoyed that 6-8 years of my life of of high school and post education outside of that tertiary education, and I would have found a lot more. I can't even think of the word. I would have found a lot more purpose. I would have found a lot more meaning to my education and my development as a human as a whole. I'm always pushing our boys to think outside the box and to not follow that norm, and things like pink hair and the fingernail polish that I put on, and growing a stupid massive beard for 5 years, and just doing things that are outside of the norm, just to show them that it's okay not to fit into what society and into what they're taught so many hours a day is what's expected of them. The only thing that I expect of them is to be the best version of them they can be. And it's unfortunate because I see it in not just in my kids, what they get force fed at school and what I went through at school, but I see it in the kids that I work with through baseball, through coaching and that sort of stuff. I see it in even my students that I work with, adults, grown adults that have had this forced down their throat, for so many years that they have to fit a certain thing and they have to follow certain guidelines if they want to achieve X, Y, Z. It's complete rubbish. There is, the old saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you find what you've been told to do isn't working for you, don't do it. It took me 37 years to figure that out. And it wasn't until when I was 36, 37 that I finally took the bull by the horns and left the 9-to-5 job that I'd been told for years that I had to do. And that was the only way of being happy. And that was the only way of making money. And that was the only way of doing what I needed to do in life. And you've got to do this and this and this. I left that job and it was the biggest weight off my shoulder being able to pursue my own passions and pursue my own enlightenment, my own empowerment in life of helping other people and getting into a position now that I spend my days helping people discover this themselves and discover how amazing life can be and how amazing they can be just by thinking outside the box and not following the norm of what they've been taught for so many years. It was really disappointing. I mean, we sat there for like an hour and a half listening to teacher after teacher and headmaster and year counselor and year advisor, and every single one of them came up and spewed essentially the same message and the same broadcast to these kids that are going into year 7 next year. And the whole thing was, you have to fit our little template. If you don't fit our template, you're going to suck. If you don't fit our template, you're going to fail in life. If you don't fit our template, you're not going to be any good to anyone. And it was really disappointing. I know there are some amazing teachers out there. I know there are some amazing education systems and coaches, and there are so many amazing people out there that are doing it. But the problem is that we're all drowned out by this inundated, completely archaic thinking that society's had pushed on it for so long. And it really upsets me, and it really kind of not even annoys me, it disappoints me that we haven't evolved with how people should be and evolved to let people live the life they want to live. It's a bit of a sidetrack, but I'm always touting the cotton ball, the nanny state. Everyone's always worried about what other people are doing. And it's along the same lines that if you don't fit the norm of what I think you should be, that's it. You shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be able to do that because someone else thinks it's wrong. One of the biggest online image sharing sites, it's been around for years, Tumblr. You may or may not have heard of it. Tumblr has a bit of a bad reputation. It has a lot of adult content on it, put it that way. It's not a pornography site, but it does have a lot of adult content. It stemmed mostly from, or it was born originally for creatives to be able to post their content on there unfiltered for people to share and to enjoy. As a photographer, I've used it for years to post things, and I've got mates that have used it for years to post things that on most social media, Facebook, Instagram, that sort of stuff, would be banned and against community guidelines. And it's not tasteless stuff. It's art, and it's stuff that is enjoyed by millions of people and appreciated by millions of people for the artwork that it is. That this morning, all the Tumblr users all got a message this morning saying, as of the 7th of December, that's cut down. So it's basically going to the same guidelines as what Facebook is. Anything that's possibly construed to upset or disrupt someone else, it's getting banned. Why they're doing it and the reasons behind it is unknown. It could be anything from advertisers to people who just complain too much, whatever it happens to be. But again, it's another case of, if you don't fit my little template, you shouldn't exist. You're not right. You're not fitting into society. You're not. It's terrible to think that the more we go on, you think as a race, humans would evolve. You think as a race, we'd evolve with the times and evolve mentally, not just physically or environmentally. We'd actually evolve to be able to accept more people. And it's the more we go, the further we go on in life, the more people are trying to push you into this little square peg. At school, you inundate it for 12, 14 years at school, and tertiary, you're inundated in this little peg. You've got to fit this one little hole, and that's what you're doing for the rest of your life. And it's really, really shit way of looking at things. I know there's been a bit of a brain spew. I just had to get off my chest because it's something that annoys the living bejeebies out of me, and it's something I'm very passionate about. I have 3 boys, and I want them growing up knowing that they're free to express themselves and knowing they're free to be what they want to be, whatever that is. I really don't care. As long as they grow up happy and as long as they grow up being able to express themselves safely and freely, that's up to them where they choose to go with their lives. It's just something. It's something that it doesn't get talked about enough. As soon as you start talking about it, people start jumping on you, criticizing. Oh, you've got to do this. Oh, but this is the only way of doing it. This, that. There's no only way of doing anything. Go and enjoy life. Go and do what you want to do. Go and be what you want to be. Screw what anyone else says. Screw what anyone else tells you. There is more than one way to live this life, and we should be accepting of everyone we possibly can be in any way we can, guys. Go and take care of one another. Go and have a great week, guys, and I'll talk to you soon.